That's a hard, I mean, that's a totally different
Yes.
sales process,
You
right?
absolutely you want to set it up so whatever person's making the decision is looking like a hero to their boss and their boss's boss. You want them to almost take ownership of the process for you, so that if you can narrate that in any way and create that sort of a strategy with who the buyer is, because the truth is like the associate buyer, they probably 1 or 2 years out of college, they're pretty new, they're the gatekeeper, but like you need to make it so you're a win for them, and then they become an advocate for you, and then you can move around within the system.
How did you figure this out?
Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop.
Alan, we got to get ready to rock and roll. We got a big one today because I am so excited because I'm the king of organization. If you've ever stepped to my office, I've got everything in its proper place, everything completely where it's supposed to be. I am not cluttered at all. I have it all figured out.
Pinocchio, where are you going with this?
So today, we don't have just a person. We have an entity. That's how cool this one is.
Wow.
This one is so
It's
cool.
an entity with really good hair.
I
And
appreciate that.
I know he has definitely brought the good looks up like 7,000%.
Chris
You're in the room.
likes to bring
Man,
good
y'all are
people.
making me feel good. I haven't even been introduced yet.
I
This
know.
is nice.
And we want to introduce you for a while because we got to talk about Chris some more.
We do because we can't get to this entity. I mean, it's not just a name. Seriously, I mean, his vanity plate is the entity. He is world renowned, and I'm gonna tease with it starts with Mr. Check that shit out right there.
If you want to get a good Instagram handle, put Mr. in front of whatever you wanted, and it'll usually not be taken. That's my first tip to everyone.
there you go,
So, yeah,
Gold
whatever
nugget,
you are, be
30
Mr. or
seconds
Miss.
in.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Mr. Not
Uh-huh.
introduced yet entity.
Yeah.
Mr. is Mr.
It's like Mr.
Uh-huh.
Bald is probably still available.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That one might be a little harder, but yeah, that's the idea.
There's a lot of us out there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm so glad we got back in studio. I have been busy, Alan. I have been all over the nation.
Just another week in your 80s rock star lifestyle.
So
Without
I
the big
went
hair.
almost coast to coast. I went
Yeah.
from Kiowa Island, which is down in Charleston, out to Lake Tahoe to watch the American Century Golf Tournament. And then came back to Atlanta for a minute and then went back up to Chicago for a conference and then came back again, only to head back into the mountains to go back. And we're back in Atlanta.
American Century Golf Tournament. What's that one?
That is the pro-am that has all the celebrities golfs at it. So you've got
Uh-huh.
like all the
Mhm.
football players, you've got the quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, um, Matt Ryan from the Falcons was out there this
He's
year,
a good
which is cool.
stick, right? Yeah.
And so you got to be a good player, but they invite you out. And so you also see people like Carson Daly. Got to see Roger Maltby, got my picture taken with him.
Nice.
Marcus Allen.
Really?
Yep. Super cool dude. The coolest guys probably were the Kelsey brothers. They were fun. I'm telling you, Jason.
Are they
Kelsey,
pretty good?
And they're good.
Really?
Travis is good.
Yeah.
Jason was okay. He can hit the ball a ton, as you might
Yeah.
imagine, but he just doesn't know where it's going. And it's so funny.
They're
'Cause-
funny anyways. Like I would love to see them not do well. Like they would be entertaining just playing bad golf.
He hit one wide in the one fairway that we watched, and he just screamed at it. No.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play with you, big guy.
Yeah,
That's my foursome.
yeah.
So, all right. So we're here. We got to do this. Got to get ready. So settle in. You're listening in your car. You may be taking a walk. This is going to be a great episode because this is a really cool concept that came out of a historical family. But we have Mr. Wall Storage in the house. Can I get a whoop whoop?
Whoop, whoop.
Thank you, Alan. Almost. That was two old men trying to go whoop whoop.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't do any better.
Richard, thank you. This is Richard Grove. He is the Mr. Wall Storage. You'll find his handle out there on social media. He's got thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 people following him now because he is super cool and organized.
And big hair.
And you know what? He doesn't even push the big hair on the Mr. Wall Storage stuff.
I appreciate all that. That was very high praise. It's nice to be here. It really is.
Yeah. So looking forward to talking to you about this. So let's talk about first, what is this product?
Yeah, so Wall Control is our main brand. We have a couple others that we've spun off over the years, but it's like you alluded to, wall-mounted storage for any room of the house, started in the garage with tool organization. You can kind of think like traditional pegboard, but on steroids, as everybody likes to say. Really clean system, holds a lot of weight, metal construction, just a really nice looking system that keeps you organized. So that's what Wall Control is at the product level, what we are as a brand. We're a family owned and operated business. We've been in manufacturing since the 60s. It's a made in USA product here in Atlanta. And that's really it in a nutshell. We've got some other brands we've spun off over the years to target specific applications like firearm storage and gym pegboard, things like that. But yeah, it's wall mounted storage. It's simple in nature, but what you see people do with the systems are amazing if you look at our Instagram accounts and places like that.
I'd highly recommend going out there and a look at this. If you guys are out taking a walk, you in your truck or whatever, get a chance to go check out what this is first, because it's not your daddy's pegboard.
Yeah, it's a lot cooler than it sounds. Like, go look at the website, look on social media, and it's one of those things that a picture is worth 1,000 words to get a feel for it. So that's what I recommend people do when I start explaining what it is we do and what we make.
And it's not just the board, which, by the way, comes in every color you can imagine.
Yeah.
But is it all the little...
Yeah, all the accessories. We have a ton of different hooks and accessories that we manufacture. It also accepts standard traditional pegboard pegs that you're used to. But yeah, shelving systems, power tool racks. We have systems for the laundry room, for the kitchen, for the hobby room, for any home gym, anything you can think of. We like to say a wall is a terrible thing to waste. And that's true. Really, any room in the house could get an upgrade from our system.
See, I hate pegboards.
Yeah, that's what we do too.
And,
So, yeah.
And so, and I'm not very good at making French cleats because I've tried. So I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah, French cleats they're cool if you want to make them, but the other thing about them is you can't like micromanage the storage. It's like big slats. That's another problem with like slat wall. So our system, you can hang big stuff on it, or you can like get inch by inch and decide where you want to put things.
So what's cool about this product? Obviously, you got to take a look at it, and you can get it on Amazon. It's really easy to find. Here's the cool thing, man. I got to go visit the wall storage facility and then where they make it. Then I got a chance to meet Grandpa, who had no idea this was happening. And then between Grandpa and son-in-law, they came up with it.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what they did. They stamped all the fronts of buses for Bluebird buses here in the Southeast, and not just Southeast, but I see them flying out of here all the time. And they did all the stampings. And then you got to tell the story now.
No, we do. I mean, we do stampings for Bluebird, all kind of automotive places, lawn, and it's funny. We do all kind of random things that are cool. Like, for instance, I'll be walking through Home Depot and I could pick up like the riding lawnmower seat of a John Deere lawnmower and be like, oh, we designed the die that builds that and we stamp those, So it's like all these random odd metal parts that are stamped. We do a ton of that. And so over the years, we had been doing that. Early 2000s, the economy started to slow pretty big, and we started seeing a lot of our stuff go either offshore or to Mexico. And we decided we need something that's our own product line, something that'll never leave our shop and that'll keep our folks busy. And so my dad, who's my granddad's son-in-law, worked for him since he was 18. Mom and dad, high school sweethearts from Tucker High School.
I met Mom too, by the way.
Yeah.
She is a sweetheart.
Yeah, so my granddad's got two daughters, both work in the family business, and then my father married my mom, obviously, and he's been there since he was 18, and he runs the tool and die shop and manufacturing facility now. So him and my granddad got together, and my dad had been kicking this idea around for a long time. Actually built prototypes for the warehouse and for the plant that we were using ourselves, because it was either traditional pegboard, which everybody hates, or super, super expensive metal systems that are just way too expensive. There was nothing in between, like no affordable, better solution.
Yeah, I was actually really pleasantly surprised at the pricing on your website.
Yeah, so we're able to do that by efficiencies in manufacturing pretty much. So they got together, built some tooling for it, built some prototypes. It was working out well, and started trying to take it to market. My grandmother built our first website, by the way. So like this is total bootstrap, like side project stuff. I saw.
How hip is grandma? Let's just
Yeah,
That's a savvy grandma.
Yeah,
Huh?
I mean
Yeah.
HTML, like custom homemade. I mean, it didn't look, it looked fine in
What's
the early
grandma's name?
2000s. Ginger. So
Ginger.
and Ginger is
I
my
get-
dad's mom, by the way. So this
Okay.
is other.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is not my granddad's.
All right.
Well, my the manufacturing
I think I
granddad's
need a
wife. So
chart.
I know I need to. It's easier. I can see it in my head, but as I say it, I'm like, no one's gonna understand what I'm
So
saying. here, but
website
yeah.
powered by Ginger.
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
You know, I have to say, when I watched your video, which was really cool, and it started with your granddad talking, and then it was your dad talking, and then it was you, right?
Mhm.
I'm worried about the loss of the Southern accent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't
he's-
know how I didn't.
He's pretty
happened?
mute.
Well,
man. Yeah.
my
The grandfather has this beautiful Southern accent,
Yeah.
and then your father has a little.
Well, he was born in Chicago, so
Oh.
his side is from up north. So
Okay.
that's where I'm like the average of that, and somehow I didn't pick it up like everybody else did.
No.
I wish I did. I mean, I grew up all around it, but it just none of my siblings either. It's funny.
No, I met granddad too. It was funny as after.
rubbing it in.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Oh, it gets even better, Alan.
Yeah, you
So much
went on.
fun.
Did you go to the factory?
I went to the factory. Then he took me to
You
show me all,
suck. Why did you ever take me on anything cool?
this one. You know
You
what?
get to come next, that's for sure. I'll make
All right.
sure.
I want to come without Chris.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
We're gonna have special time.
No,
Yeah.
no, you're not allowed to go. I'm sorry, you're not changing information. So no, he took me to one of his best clients, and he put up all their wall control systems in their place, and they happen to be a custom auto manufacturer, a custom
Like hot rods
Hot
and
rod.
yeah.
Oh wow.
And so this guy is really well known in the hot rod world. His name is Brian Fuller with
Yeah.
Fuller Moto.
Yeah.
So I get to tour that facility after with some really cool hot rods. And I will say some of the coolest stuff you ever see on the wall and ceiling.
Yeah.
Put the stuff on.
That's what the
I'm just
custom
not
guys
happy
do.
right now. You know, my cousin's at St. Andrews today.
Well, see,
So I'm pissed at that. I'm pissed at you for going to. see all
Man,
this cool
you're
stuff.
having a rough day.
I really
Yeah.
am.
hey, cousin Brad,
I'm just.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
I know.
Cousin Brad, can you take Alan? I know cousin Brad listens to the show every once in a while. So let's get
Cousin
back to this.
Brad's on the naughty list.
Yeah, he's done. All right, so back to Mr. Wall Storage. So the video was cool. Obviously, Grandma makes the website. Off we
Yeah.
roll. We have this product, not knowing if there's going to be a market for it or not.
Right. Yeah. So it kind of stalls for the first handful of years, maybe 4 or 5 years, because it can't really be anybody's full-time job. And my dad and granddad are brilliant tool and die makers, but they're just not sales guys. This is a whole different audience. Direct to consumer is not the same as selling dies to automotive companies. So at this time I was getting out of college, and I had seen it. I'd worked there during the summers, and a part of me really wanted to go back and help out the family and work for the family business. I just felt like I could bring some value to what they were trying to do. But I did want to do something on my own out of school. So I worked for the Department of Defense right out of school. I was an engineer on the Lockheed C5 Galaxy. Really awesome job. Secret clearance, cool stuff.
Cool, secret, high clearance. You ever gotten that, Alan?
No.
Actually, me neither.
No.
Actually, I get
Alan is getting, man,
Yeah.
you're just,
No,
have you
no.
got to do that? Have you been there? Have you?
you didn't get any secret clearance, Alan?
No.
Yeah. Well, actually,
I
me
had the
neither.
government call me once as a reference for somebody else that was getting secret clearance. That's as close as I've.
Do you have what it takes to start your own business? Are you tired of the 9-to-5 corporate job and ready to make that leap into entrepreneurship? You need to check out From the Zoo to the Wild, the book by successful entrepreneur Chris Lalomia. This book is a unique perspective on the journey into the wild world of home services and delivering excellence in service while working in customers' homes. Lalomia shares his path to success in this industry, including proven customer relationship strategies, award-winning customer experience processes, and a unique approach to training a team of service technicians to perform at the highest levels. Whether you're a small business trying to scale or a franchise operation, From the Zoo to the Wild will give you the mindset, habits, leadership style, and customer-oriented processes to succeed as a small business owner in the world of home services. So if you're ready to take control of your future, get a copy of From the Zoo to the Wild today, available on Amazon.
I have worked all around it when I was in the aerospace world, but I never I never had to do any of the secret clearances. But I was a little too low level at that point, I think.
Yeah, it was a cool job. Like I enjoyed it. I was in Warner Robins, but I was up here in Marietta a lot at Lockheed, so it was cool. But I always wanted to go back and work for my family, and so after a year of that,
Did the Russians ever try to bribe you or anything?
no, but man, the amount of stuff you have to like sign that says your spouse isn't native or isn't native Russian, or like you couldn't. And I don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure like if I was married to if my spouse was born in Russia, I wouldn't have had the clearance. Like that's how I mean they get into stuff, so it's crazy. I mean it's good because you don't want
No.
that sort of infiltration, but yeah, you have to disclose any of those things and they dig into it and they call everybody, and you'll get a call from your aunt that she got a call from the government, and you're like, yes, that's not like you didn't get, it's not scammed. It's like they're asking about these things. You can answer the questions. So yeah.
And so now you listen to this podcast, you guys are now all secretly cleared for Mr. Wall Storage.
Yes.
So now you can all get wall control because you passed the security clearance.
Right. You're all, it's like what's the Christmas or Christmas story, like you with your decoder and your
I got my secret decoder.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, so you're all part of that club, whatever that is, so you're in it.
Nice. All right, so you go back to the fam.
Yeah,
you go back and you say, you know what, Granddad, Dad, I am so much smarter than you.
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
Is that how it started?
That's how it sounds if I say it wrong. But so yeah, I go back and I'm half of the time I'm spending on tool and die to make sure I cover my pay and all that. The other half is working on wall control. And so it was just me and a guy in a warehouse when I first got back, and just started trying to learn all I could about direct to consumer models and search engine optimization, improving the website. And we kept the website that my grandmother built for years. I mean, it only until like maybe 2012, we switched to a new platform, like a real robust platform that we could scale a lot better.
Where was Ginger when I was building my website? That's all I'm asking, right? My first website sucked.
Yeah, everybody's does,
sucked.
Chris. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So that's
I want Ginger.
Yeah.
I want a website built by Ginger.
Yeah. We should have like poweredbyginger.com should have been.
I think you got to do it.
And if that's taken, you can call it Miss Ginger. And it probably won't be.
Oh,
so
there we
you
go.
Know what I mean? So
see,
you know what? There is something to that. You guys should put that at the bottom of all your website, just a little homage to Grandma.
That's not a bad idea at all. Yeah. So, yeah, I started like I'd go take free courses on search engine optimization and just learning all I could, and just things that, trying to build out whatever kind of network of kind of influencers and friends and stuff that could help us promote the brand that I could start cobbling together, and just started growing it that way, going to trade shows, talking with buyers. We're on homedepot.com, lowes.com, Amazon, you'd mentioned, Grainger, Northern Tool, all these different places. And
but you have to work to get on those.
You do.
So
and
it sounds easy, but
yeah,
what you did.
Right.
There's so many places we can go. So you keep going and we'll come back to it.
No, it's totally, and this is again, going back to, my dad and granddad, brilliant tool and die makers, but bless their heart with the getting to the buyer. So it's like they didn't know any better, but they literally like write, dear buyer at Home Depot, type out a letter, sign it, and then like mail it to Home Depot's corporate address. Maybe not that quite extreme, but really close to that. Like we have, the letters to go in the museum one day or whatever that they sent, but those things don't work so well. That's not a great approach.
Can you just imagine that one? It's like with the typeset, we put it in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just assuming that's how it works. So what did you do?
Yeah. So, well,
because Alan's about as old as your grandpa.
Yeah.
No.
That was, it's very,
it
you know what?
like
The truth is nowadays it's probably effective to try to do that because no one's doing that.
Right.
No one's like sending a letter that they write.
We're coming back.
Yeah. So what's old
Get
is
the
new.
typewriter out, Alan.
I'm coming back.
We're going to load up a
Yeah,
piece of paper.
I am going to be still again someday soon.
So the other thing too that I think anybody who's listening, who's trying to like launch a product or to get into a place like this, everybody wants to talk about how good their product is and why it's better than other products. And that isn't what buyers want to hear. They assume that if you're talking to them about your product, like the fact that your product's good, it should almost go unspoken that like this is a good product. What they want is the the distribution and the scalability of the product, and how like they don't care about our product. They don't care that it's the best metal pegboard in the system. They want to know how many units of whatever widget I'm running my mouth about they can sell in a month, how it compares to the other widgets in that same category, how compact the boxes are, how well you thought about like the oversized fees with UPS, things like this. So it's like the distribution is much more important in the conversation and the unit economics of it than how good or bad the product is. So I've heard it say it's kind of a saying in the tech world: first time founders, all they focus on is product. Second time founders, all they care about is distribution. And that's really kind of what we
Very
saw. It's like,
interesting.
so speaking the language of the buyer and not just tooting your product's horn is going to get you a lot further. So you have to validate that you're the best in the category. You need to earn that somewhere. You can prove that with your web traffic and direct to consumer sales, but you check that box, and then you need to start talking about how you're going to make them money and how it's super easy to sell and ship and warehouse and all that.
Think about the gatekeepers that he's talking about right there. And cousin Brad just sent a picture.
Like
It's
King
so
of
bad.
Barnes. What a prick.
Yeah.
Look at, I mean,
know,
can you believe this?
Alan-
Man,
How
and
is
you're
it-
here and you're sitting here with us
How is
looking
supposed
at
to
that.
focus?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Richard's clearly better looking than us.
He certainly is.
Well, okay. So let's go back. So that's the thing.
Cousin who?
Yeah.
Cousin Brad, you're cut out, buddy.
Yeah.
You know what? You can always come see me though. I always will open my doors to you when you come to Atlanta. All right. Because cousin Brad does listen all the time.
That is, yeah, I need to meet cousin Brad. Maybe next time he'll be
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that you guys will go to Scotland together.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we're going to go over and see this really cool hot rod
And
place.
you'll probably play your club, which I still haven't played.
Still,
with you. Yeah,
well, he's
that's
got a standing invite, of course. Cousin Brad,
Yeah.
standing invite. Alan can come be our caddy. All right, back to
right.
Richard.
You
Can we?
all suck.
No,
All right.
I like the banter. I enjoy hearing this. That's enough about pegboard. Yeah.
But the thing that's wild is that the gatekeepers are the distribution guys, right? Richard just said, "Hey, I got a great product. Consumers going to love it," and they're like, "I don't give a crap.
Yeah,
I want to
they
know
don't.
if I can move numbers so I can make my numbers so I can get my boss's job at Home Depot because." That's that's a totally different
Yes.
sales process,
You
right?
absolutely, like, you nailed it too. You want to set it up so whatever person's making the decision is looking like a hero to their boss and their boss's boss. You want them to almost take ownership of the process for you, so that if you can narrate that in any way and create that sort of a strategy with who the buyer is, because the truth is, like, the associate buyer, they're probably 1 or 2 years out of college. They're pretty new, they're the gatekeeper, but like, you need to make it so you're a win for them, and then they become an advocate for you, and then you can move around within the system.
How did you figure this out?
Just like, I mean, it's kind of, you learn as you watch it happen, and you learn by seeing things not work, and then you see things that do work, and you're like, everybody, I feel like there's early inventors and stuff are like, look at this piece of crap that's for sale in Home Depot. How did this get here? And it's like, well, when I hear something like that, I don't think, how did it get there? I really think like, well, how did it get there? Like, why is it there? Home Depot's not stupid. These guys, a square foot on a shelf is very valuable to them. So clearly someone, not just the someone, but the someone's boss was thinking when this happened. So you start like reverse engineering what is successful to them, and then you kind of relate it to your product.
What was one of the best things you did to make that happen? Like, how did you break it?
Man, it's been the first one we got. Yeah. The first one we landed was Sears.com, which isn't as impressive now as it was then, but it was, I remember we were at the National Hardware Show, and it was a younger guy, probably my age, and it really also is relationship too. So like, you start asking them like what they're looking for, like what do they need? All right, so rather than come at them with our product and what we think is our best seller, we'll tell them all that, and they'll have that information. But like, what's your target price point? Like, what's your customer spending right now? And like, what kind of square footage are you seeing with your other things? And let me go back and let me put a kit together that we think is going to target that. And then let's start with that. And I think with Target, Sears, we literally called it the starter pegboard kit. And so now you've made it to their specs, their target price point. You've titled it something that people search, like starter pegboard kit. That's gonna index well on their website. And then you give it to them. You're like, hey, thanks for helping me make this kit. This is a really good kit you thought of. You were a really smart buyer. Man, I can't wait to see how well this does for you. And then then they start to take a little bit of ownership of the thing that you put together for them.
Take
you
note,
know?
Alan, as he compliments us on our podcast. You
Yeah,
know what he's doing now.
exactly.
You're just using us for distribution. Oh my God, I knew it. Back to Sears, though. Isn't that such a shame? Because
Oh man, yeah.
that was my Christmas list.
You know, I
I used to get
that
those.
it was the starter pegboard kit that took him down. Was it?
Yeah, exactly. It was it introduced the worm in the system or something.
That's right. It was
So,
the
yeah.
free shrimp at Red Lobster.
Yeah,
Was the starter
exactly.
Free
Yeah.
strip. It was the starter pegboard that
Yeah.
took Sears down. Yeah, I'm sure that's what they're going to attribute.
No, I think they did well on that one. I'm sure they did. Yeah.
So I gotta ask, when you landed at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, was it one of those scenarios where, oh my God, what did we just do? And boom.
I mean, really, nothing's been like you. This is another thing. Everybody thinks, oh man, that's it. That's the thing. This is gonna, yeah, exactly. This is
You
gonna.
never had
obviously-
one
No.
day where it went
Never.
inflection point. Oh, daddy's
No.
home.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it's always gradual, consistent, like checking things off and climbing. Even when you start with Sears, and it's you start out, it's not that many units to start with. It takes time and it compounds and builds. And I'll say this too, like once you land one, then it becomes easier to land the next one. So it's like if you can point to these listings on Sears and look at the 5 stars and they can tell it's the best seller in the category, then the conversation becomes much easier with the next retailer and the next one. Because none of them want to take a chance, and none of them on the other end of the spectrum, none of them want to be left behind. So like once you start with a little bit of momentum, there's that fear of missing out on something that might work. And then you start to land more as well.
I just learned that one from my daughter.
Are you
FOMO. Good dad. I have FOMO. I have to leave.
Yeah.
She was in visiting us. She's in PA school, and she is famous
Yeah.
on this podcast because she.
Do better, Dad.
Oh, yeah, that's number one. She's got a lot of good liners, but she goes, Dad, I can't stay. I got FOMO. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
I didn't use the acronym just in case anybody listening
Because-
didn't know, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
fear of
that was
missing
very
out.
nice of him because
Yeah.
he was assuming
FOMO.
he's assuming we wouldn't get
Nah,
it.
you guys I knew would know, but
Yeah.
you just found out, Chris. So now
I'm cool now.
You're
That's
very
right.
cool. You're in the club. You're
I've
double in
known
the
for
club.
at
I
least
also wanna
6
tell you-
months, so suck it, Chris.
Check this out.
Yeah.
So I go on vacation down to Kiowa. Did I mention that?
Yeah,
And,
a couple times by the way.
And Troy's
before Tahoe.
Troy's rising senior in high school daughter. We started talking about my podcast, and Troy, Della, my wife, of course. Don't listen. She goes, Marin. Oh, I listen all the time. I'm like, oh my God.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding you. So she was spouting off some of the stuff's going on. So shout out to a young person thinking that maybe she wants to be an entrepreneur as well.
I love that.
That is
Oh my God,
awesome.
it was
Yeah.
so cool. So Marin, yeah,
She's
it was.
my favorite listener now.
She is. She is so super cool.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
All right. So now we got a shout out to her. So now she'll listen again because we're going to shorten that one in and put that out there on the socials.
A little blurb for yeah, that's
I'm going to
perfect.
put that there. I'm going to put that there on the line.
On the line. That's a thing, isn't it?
Isn't it a thing?
I
Isn't
don't-
that the
I
thing?
don't
Man,
Is it on the line?
things now, like
Yeah.
there's
We
way
can
more
delete
things.
that. We can go back.
Now
and
it's like a
cut that.
thing to have the things. Like I got a cousin who's a senior at Georgia Tech, and like the amount of stuff that is new and slang, it's like they're doing it just to make fun of everybody who's older than 25. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to be very old but to be out of it.
No,
Well,
I'm
especially-
totally out of it. Like I'm out of it.
Yeah.
He'll say he can put together sentences that sound like gibberish that make total sense to anybody who's
I
under
remember
25.
the first time one of my kids came up and said, Dad, that's sick. I said, what happened? He goes, no, it's good.
Yeah.
I thought you said, who's sick? No, that's sick.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's who's sick?
It's like, and I think I'll probably get this wrong, but like Riz is a thing everybody says, and it's like short for charisma. Like they got the Riz. I don't know. I'm probably somebody's laughing right now at what I just said, but like it's like things like that that are
with
and it's just the
podcasting
whole
is you say something dumb and it's worldwide forever.
yeah,
So,
exactly. That's
So,
great.
Good news is it's not going anywhere. It's
No.
gonna be right here. All right, we got to go back to this.
No, I want to. I got a question.
All right, you go.
How do you stay ahead of the offshore competitors, particularly our friends in China that just as soon as something starts selling, they just copy it and then boom.
They definitely do. I mean, we see that on Amazon. That's like the first place that you see it because it's super easy
With
to
all
get.
those really legitimate reviews.
Yeah,
that they
and
have.
all the
Yeah.
brand names that are alphabet soup, and
Yeah.
it's the reason it is because they can get that trademarked overnight, basically. And so once you get the trademark, then you can create the listing under the
Interesting.
brand. So that's what it is. It's just that it's the most random. It's literally nonsense.
Yeah, it's
so it can get trademarked.
Pazoozle.
Yeah,
board.
all caps,
Yeah.
Z's, X's,
Yeah.
T's, all kind of stuff. So,
I kind of instinctively don't want to buy those.
and that's what I mean. That's kind of what we're seeing now too. So it's an ebb and flow. Like it happens. You know, it you see an influx of them, and then you see it kind of die back down again, and you see it rise again. So like during COVID, right at or probably 2021, 2022, just spiking with these things, just imports coming in all over the place. And the way we fight it is just with brand, like building a brand that people want to buy from and trying to tell that story on social media with all the misters and the missuses out there. And, you know, so creating that storyline and then building that base. So like once you've got that customer base, that brand base, you're going to have peaks and valleys, but you know, like it's not an experiment for you anymore with the product you're running. Whereas all these imports, they're really just like onesie twosie experiments that these plants are running and manufacturing facilities overseas. So they'll send in, I don't know, 100 to 1,000 units to Amazon and see how well it sells. And if it sells really fast, they'll reorder and bring in more. If it's very slow sales velocity and they have high storage fees, they won't re-up those products. And so what we're seeing now is a lot of the stuff that they thought was going to be high velocity isn't, and it's starting to trail back down again. Because the consumer doesn't want to buy that brand to put in their garage or to hold anything or to be anywhere. Like it'd be one thing if it was just a little, I don't know, like a gag gift type thing, but when it's your storage solution in your garage and you care that much, you don't want it to be garbage.
It could hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you figured out, like what the delta is, like what are people willing to pay more to get a brand and to get US made, that whole thing? Because it's not just US stamped. I mean, you're actually sourcing US steel, right?
Yeah. And we're one of the things, to the point of our like competitive advantage aside from brand, because that's important, but you also have to be cost competitive. And so the way we manufacture is we put a huge investment on the front end to progressively tool most of our products. So what this means is
you're a progressive tool.
Yeah.
You know what? No, it's a technology term. I didn't expect you to understand it anyway.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I knew this was going to be over your head. You know, you don't
you were a
get
tool
clearance
in
and you're
Gila,
not
and
an
then
engineer.
you were a tool in Tahoe, and that
You know
makes
what?
you a progressive tool.
Cousin Brad, open invitation
Yeah.
to actually be the co-host of the podcast.
Yeah. I'm going to come back for Cousin Brad. I've got to meet him. So yeah.
He is kind of legendary.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure he exists anymore or exists because he's almost like a mythical creature now. Yeah.
He's kind of like, well, he's out there with the Loch Ness Monster right now.
Yeah.
So. Anyway.
Well, no, we design our products so that we can mass produce them very quickly with very little labor at scale. And so that is a huge advantage to us over a Chinese import, because it's a lot more, their cost of labor is so low that they don't have to get to that level of efficiency with the manufacturing. So like our metal panels, we can stamp somewhere, we'll say 20 to 30 of them in a minute once we're set up and running our presses. So
think about that 1 second,
Yeah.
Alan. 20 to 30 a minute of these long panels that are
Yeah.
how long by how
well, our standard size is 32 inches long by 16 inches wide.
And that's probably because it's efficient logistically.
Yeah, so
That's
it's just
genius.
Well, that was
He is
that.
genius,
That is
bro.
not me.
He
That
is.
was my dad. That
Oh, your dad's
yeah,
genius.
the tooling is goes back to their genius. Like they know tool and die, they know manufacturing, and they knew that if it was going to ever be competitive long run with imports, it had to be made with the labor cut out of it. And so that's the way you cut the labor out, is by the only labor is in setting up the tooling. You have a couple people running a press and it's just stamping them out. So even if somebody did that overseas, the cost of steel per pound is a commodity price. So you're not, and now China they'll rig the system and they'll subsidize the cost of steel to their plant. So you got to deal with that to some extent. But on the other side, we don't have sea freight on every single metal panel.
Right.
So when you consider that, another advantage to our system over the imports is that it has to be made of steel or it's not as strong. So you can get plastic pegboard, but it's just not going to hold up as well. It's not going to look as nice, and it's not going to hold as much weight. It's a lot harder to put a shelving system on plastic. So the way China usually wins, and I say China because they are like on Amazon, I think they're they're over 50% of the sellers on Amazon, like the actual sellers are
And they own Alibaba.
yeah. And when I say sellers, I mean the person selling you the product on Amazon is a Chinese company. And then 90% of the products on Amazon are probably made in China.
And so again, for our Chinese friends who are listening, Alan's address is
So we're hoping that China sponsors the show.
Yeah.
Chris, is that what
that's
you're
not
saying?
happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, we're not banging on, but
Yeah, and
it
it's
is
not
a little bit different, right? So
right. It's totally they're like kudos to them on creating like that focus for their economy and their people, I guess. But it's like that's who you're competing against. It is there's no mincing words about it. That's the competitor.
well, you brought up the progressive tooling, and I think that's a key point for any business. So how do you compete? And I remember talking to another manufacturing lady, and it was us home service guys sitting around. I have a home remodeling and handyman business and garage doors and garage floor epoxy, all these guys. And we're talking, we're like, wow, you know what? It's so much harder for what she does, what we do. And she goes, well, no, I have to compete against the whole world to put my product in people's houses. And I'm competing against the entire world.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, wow. You put it like that. That's a little tougher.
Yeah.
But when you're thinking about the biz and what you're doing, your competitive advantage is, if you're not picking this up from what Mr. Wall Storage or Richard is telling you, is you got to have branding. You got to have a good, unique selling proposition and know who you're buying, your sellers, your buyers are, because that's just so crappy that the distribution happens through junior buyers like this to keep product away from good people. But that's the way it works, right?
Yeah. And then, I mean, there's a few other points that I guess make our system and our particular product so desirable. The other bit is the customer support on that side. So like it goes back to like if you buy local, you're probably going to get better service if you have an issue versus if you don't buy local. And this is more to the manufacturing side of it also. So we saw, again, early 2000s, a lot of stuff going offshore, a lot of stuff going to Mexico. And we get a call from one of our companies we manufacture with, and they'd say, hey, we need our tooling. We're going to have a truck there in the morning, put our dies on the truck. No hard feelings, but we're sending them to Mexico just because we got to make up margin that we're losing, other places. And so what happened was all this stuff went away. Well, what happens when a stamping die goes to Mexico and the stamping die breaks? You have a lot harder time getting it fixed quickly. And so that's when we started seeing a lot of that work come back to us. So it was repair work, and now we prefer to just do repair work. Honestly, we'll quote out, or people send out RFQs to like.
No, you're not talking about the wall storage stuff. You're talking about
this is just in general, like
stamping.
Yeah, it's like it goes to the wall storage because an advantage is we will support you locally. We're in the U.S. If you have an issue with your product, we'll get your replacement sent. If you have an issue with something you bought on Amazon from some random alphabet soup brand that you have an issue with, good luck getting in contact with anybody. You're kind of screwed as far as you probably had this experience where you bought something, and if it's outside of a window or return window, Amazon's not going to take it back, and you have no warranty recourse for it. And if you've invested hundreds of dollars or more in a storage system, you want that support over the lifetime of the product. So we have lifetime warranty. You always can come to us. If you got an issue, we'll get you taken care of. And
is it the lifetime of the product, or like Chris probably doesn't have too much longer.
Yeah, well, he would want to give his proof of purchase to the next person. We'll just say that. So we need a proof of purchase.
That's what I tell everybody. If I make it to 62, I'm set.
Yeah.
The odds of that are getting lower every single episode.
Yeah.
That we did our strict
Are you
bourbon.
saying if you get to 62, then you think you might, okay, I made it through and I got a long runway after that? Or
Oh no, I'm just thinking I'm going to spend like
it's like
freaking fee. Dude,
Oh.
when I hit 62 and that all that 401k money that I did not use to start my business-
Christopalooza?
Oh, it's Christopher Palooza. Oh, it's gone. In fact,
That's when you want to be friends with them. So
Yeah,
don't
you know
worry
what?
about
I've been putting a lot of
yeah.
capital in
Yeah.
this.
you are. You know, you only got to wait. You only got to wait 8 more years.
Yeah.
We got this, buddy.
I'll drink.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to this wall storage stuff. So I toured the facility. Phenomenal facility. Great tour.
Oh, did you
Love
tour the
Mom.
facility?
I did.
Was it really
Granddad was
good?
awesome.
Everybody was great.
I
You
can't.
have some sweet tea with him.
I did. You know what? We
Yeah.
said, "Bless your hearts."
I know.
Bless, exactly. The bless their hearts.
They're like, "You have a podcast?" I said, "Yeah, I do it all by myself." Is Alan with me? Oh, good. I can't. So, back to that aha moment. That, hey, did you make it? And Alan made that point earlier, and yeah, it was a good point. We all think that one day is going to be the one. And so you get in with Amazon. And I was talking to Richard about that. We were walking around. I said, "You're in with Amazon." He goes, "Yeah. Let me tell you how that worked." He goes, "I thought it was one number and it turned out to be a whole lot different because Amazon controls me." So talk a little about if you're thinking about going to Amazon, where should we watch it?
I think well, what I'll say is that you might think it's a straightforward negotiation, like I'm selling a widget, here's the price, you'll pay me that price. You might think you're smart and know you're going to give them some co-op or some ad allowance or some sort of like payment terms, like, we'll say net 60 with a 2% discount, or net 61, 2% discount, net 60. So like maybe you've built all this stuff into your pricing, but know you're going against cash flow geniuses and entire departments that have their only goal is to find a way to like extract money out of your checking account and put it into their checking account. And again, this is just business. This is how it works. So, I get it, and I'm almost in awe of some of the ways they do these things. But yeah, that's what I was telling Chris. It's like we started selling through Amazon, and we thought, we had a price for things. We knew they're going to take X% of the sell price as advertising allowance, X% early payment terms, all these different percentages and co-ops. This is after we've already negotiated the price of the product. So all this is coming out of what they're going to pay us. And so I think our terms were something like net 60 or net 90. They stretch out these terms, 60, 90 days plus. And then, of course, they pay you 30 days after that, still taking their discount. But what we found was...
Guess that, Ellen? 60, 90, plus they add another 30. And
yeah, plus I'm buying my steel, a quarter in advance. So I'm having a
big float.
Big float. And so what happens is a lot of businesses, and this isn't just an Amazon thing, you'll see this with a lot of other places, but they'll get to that. They'll be at 61 days, check the checking account. Oh, it hadn't showed up yet. Okay, that's fine. We can make it 100 days. And you're like, surely it's going to come. All right. And then what you get is you get the email with the remittance of everything that they owe you that was due 60 days. It's 100 days now, but it's $0 at the bottom. And what they've done is they've taken all those co-ops and discounts of everything that you sold them since that first day up until the day before and deducted that out of their first payment to you. So that's happening the whole way through. So it's basically like, say you have 20% in co-ops and allowances, but if they keep increasing their purchase orders by 80%, you'll never actually get any money paid, because they're just rolling all those co-ops into the next.
Good
so
Lord.
Yeah. So hopefully that made sense, but yeah, it's just,
it took me a minute, and he said it again today. I got it. The first time he was explaining it to me, I was actually in my truck following him over to the stamping facility going,
you mean, when you're taking the tour?
Yeah. So did I mention the tour?
Yeah.
And then Fuller Moto to finish it off with the Thundertaker.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys
I'll have to tell about I got
Did you
shout
go to
out
Matthew's
like
cafeteria after that?
We didn't, but you had something to do afafterwards. I would have loved to take you to Matthew's.
I would have go, and then we would have gone to Matthew's, saw my buds, downtown Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Put a little southern accent, have a little sweet tea. I can't even do it.
So. Yeah,
no, you really can't.
I know.
Luckily, there's enough people there that can do it for you.
I won't even try.
Yeah,
I'll
try. I know you. All right, can we go back to Richard, please, Mr. Wall Storage? I mean, an entity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this isn't just a person. This is an entity. I mean, I want you guys thinking.
I got a question about. I'm
going to leave with such a big ego. It's nice. I appreciate it, guys.
Well, you should have. I mean, you're crushing it. You got the hair. So, what
the hair?
Not in that order,
right?
Bald guys.
Well, what would I give up first? I don't know. Yeah.
So, what are some of the coolest applications you've seen?
Oh man, there's the Fuller Moto. That's a good one because it's just walls and walls of it.
What color?
Almost decorate.
What color?
All kinds. So
Red.
like white. A nice textured black that's like what you coat ATV chassis in. It's a really nice finish. And then he did, which you alluded to, he was like, can I get a bunch of red panels because I'm going to backlight them and I'm going to make a racing stripe across my office, like from the wall to the ceiling and like backlit it. So, and then that leads
Was that cool, Chris?
It was so cool. Alan, I wish you could have seen it.
I wonder if you thought
but you know what? I
took
took
there.
Yeah.
You know what? I almost took a picture and said, I'm going to send this to Alan. I went, nah. I'll just tell him about it.
That's
Oh, God.
So
Thundertaker.
That one definitely is one of the cooler ones.
The whole time you're like, Isn't it great being me?
It was.
So great being.
No, it was cool.
Al
I
is
mean,
not more like
what
me.
what was cool is that Richard he's a very humble guy, and he's showing me all this stuff, and I don't think he realized that I had grown up in a manufacturing world and worked in screw shops and in machining shops, and my buddy had a stamping plant. I didn't tell him all this stuff, so I made him take a picture in front of their big stamper that they have there, and they have a certain name for it, and you got to tell them.
Yeah, the bone crusher is the
Nice.
Bone crusher.
And we have that it's a 900-ton press. So
What does that mean?
that means that it presses with a force of 900 tons.
That's a lot.
So that's a lot.
No,
And
that means that they had to build the facility around it
Yeah.
after they set it. And he showed me down there, and it goes down, I think, 20 feet?
yeah, it sits on about a 15-foot concrete slab. I mean, it'll register on a Richter scale when it's running really thick gauge material.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so it's I mean and that's not even, we have 1,800-ton presses, but that one, the way that one, the size of its bed and the parts that are run on it, it really, I mean, it's a percussive stamp. So
I didn't tell Richard this because I really did. I had to roll real quick, and he was like, "I'm so impressed. I want to show you, Brian."
yeah, you were a trooper too. I bet you didn't know you're getting like 3 different locations.
No, I loved
and a progressive tour.
But he doesn't know is I walked into that stamping facility, and I got that smell of that oil that I worked in when I was a kid, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's coming back to me."
You don't forget that smell.
That smell.
Yeah.
And so the guy I worked for when I was a kid, and in my book that I wrote, I said, "You find your passion at play." Did I mention I wrote a book?
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Just jab one more time. Oh my God.
So,
That
hey,
dude, Richard,
Scooter-
This is his show, man.
I
so-
swear to God.
But he told me,
Vengeance is mine.
find your play at work,
yeah.
and that's where you'll find
Yes.
your passion. And he used to tell me I was out there, and I'm covered head to toe in oil because the mark of a good machinist is somebody who's clean, and I was just completely covered, so I wasn't that good. But he said, "This is the smell of money,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Yep," and I've never forgot that. And I walked out there, and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's the same machine oil."
The problem with the smell of money is it could be going or coming. So it's like
Yeah.
depends on how the job's going. So yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So back to the wall storage stuff. You asked about the coolest stuff, the coolest applications.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
heard you like chefs can use it.
Yeah, you
Whatever.
can. It's, I mean, man, there's so many. So like, there's a bunch of TV shows that we'll see it on that are like that we know it's on, and then there's ones that you'll be watching and you'll just see it.
Oh no, kidding.
you'll be-
That's gotta
yeah,
be
so, like-
super cool.
So there's
Oh,
a
come on.
show on Righteous Gemstones on HBO. Yeah, so their gun closet in their house is wall control, and it's
Oh my
backlit
God.
LED. Yeah, so check that out. And I was just watching it, and I was like, ah, look, there's our stuff holding up their guns. So because we have a whole firearm storage like division or website and brand as well.
So
So
like in Men in Black when they open the thing and there's
yes,
all the guns on
that
the wall.
literally is in like in
That's
Righteous
you.
Gemstones.
Yeah.
That's the like you'll see that, and it's our system. So and then same thing. There's another show. I think it's Apple TV called Shrinking. That it's brand new.
That's
It's
about
got
Chris, right?
it's God. What's his name?
Easy.
He's
No, I'm expanding, brother. 'Cause
yeah.
you can have this lifestyle and
I don't know
drink.
what we're talking about. but yeah.
Yeah.
That thing isn't available anymore. He's been hooked up at the wall storage.
But it's I mean, it's if y'all are watching that one, it's the backsplash of their kitchen, which is cool. So yeah,
Really?
it's all kind of yeah. Man, there's just a bunch of little
Righteous Gemstones. Everybody
Yeah.
go watch that episode. Go watch these the Righteous Gemstones. I'm
It's
a
so
Catholic
good.
guy.
I know,
And
yes.
it hurts because it hits
It is.
organized religion, but I'll tell you what, it's
Yeah.
you can handle it.
It's-
you can handle it. I
exactly.
did. And
you
it
if
was-
you in fact the more you've experienced that in your life, the funnier it is because you get all the references. It's a funny show.
it is a great show.
Yeah, and look for the wall control. So
You haven't watched it yet, Ellen?
No.
Well, cousin Brad and I did.
yeah,
I'm sure you did.
All right.
Shirtless.
So you've seen it on, but in that's a product placement you didn't even ask for.
no,
It was
those
that-
are ones you don't, and they're not calling out our brand on it. But if you know, and it's like once you see it, you recognize it on Amazon or where else. So like that's another thing I'll do. If I see it on these shows, I'll try to SEO optimize the pages that those products are on to try to capture some of that traffic if someone's curious. So like if you saw it on Righteous Gemstones, you might put like as seen on Righteous Gemstones or some other type of keywords in the back end of the website or in your like Google ads or whatever. So if someone's looking for the thing they saw, you'll be one of the top results when they search.
All right, so let's do this for everybody because we're gonna start wrapping up this episode, and we're gonna have to have Richard back.
Man, this was
Mr. Wall story.
Man, how long have we been talking? It feels like
An
I just
hour,
got here.
and it was boom.
Really?
Right?
Wow.
I don't even
All
want
right,
the four.
you guys
Yeah.
started in
Nope.
2002. What?
No 4 questions.
We're not doing
Just
that.
go.
Yeah, we're going to go.
Oh,
right there.
no.
All right. In 2002, you had 0,
Mm-hmm.
and in 2024, how many units do you ship
Oh man,
a year, a month, or whatever number you want to use?
I don't know. I'll say we're shipping like 3,000 to 6,000 shipments a month.
A month.
Yeah.
So you started in 2002, and you were the one boxing it up.
I mean, it's fun. Like, I would work summers because I was still in college at the time, and I remember, and we're in a 55, 60,000 square foot facility now. We're actually renting extra space because it's too small. We've moved 3 times, but I remember when I was packing stuff up, this little 2,500 square foot warehouse we were renting right behind the building, right next to Fuller's actually. And I had like literally this table in front of us that's like, I don't know, this is like a 5-foot table if you're listening.
We do our podcast in a 5-foot round in my basement.
Yeah. So it's like I had enough
Cooking
product
really
that
good.
was on the table and I was putting it in poly bags and I was thinking, how will we ever sell all this? Like, I don't think we're ever going to sell all these hooks. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. I remember that. I can see it in my head thinking like, I can't believe I'm bagging all these up because no one's going to buy them. This is like, how are we going to get this product moved? So it's cool to remember that and then see. Yeah.
And how long was it from that point to where you actually hired somebody to do it for you?
Let's see. I started full time in 2008. And then I was able to hire my brother kind of on the operation side. Probably 3 or 4 years later, I hired my mom because she was working part-time for the tool and die side. Hired my sister. It's like 12 family members. My cousin, two cousins actually. It's like, yeah.
Really? And you all still get along?
We do somehow.
And you guys actually get together and actually have a family meal? And
We do, yeah. It's funny. It's like
so they're clearly not Italian.
The family meals, the family get-togethers are a totally different vibe than work.
Do you have a rule? We do not talk
It's not
business?
even, no, there's no rules. There's just, it's like
So like Thanksgiving, you're not talking pegboard.
I mean, we are sometimes,
Well,
but not
pegboards-
like,
Yeah, pegboards suck. They all have
Pegboards
yeah,
suck.
pegboards
They'll
suck.
come. They'll
Yeah.
come in,
Wall
they come in with
control.
a t-shirt.
Pegboards suck. Pegboard. That's how we get dinner served.
Richard just had his first kid. He's already got the first onesie
Yeah,
on. It says
exactly.
pegboards suck.
So do you have a cousin, Brad?
I don't have a cousin Brad.
No.
I have a lot of cousins, but
Cousin
not
Brad
Brad.
better buy some pegboard.
I know.
I don't
We're
think
gonna
it's
get,
anything-
you know what?
He could hang like Santa Barbara wine from it.
Right?
Do you have like wine holders for
Mhm.
your? Do you really?
we got wine racks. We
Are
we have a wine holder. Yeah.
Let's go,
No,
everybody.
I mean,
This guy's figured it all out. If
Yeah,
you don't
there's-
know what you want to do, it's a very affordable product. So
It really
you're
is.
thinking pegboard, I can get a 4x8 sheet. It's whatever, da 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 da. You can do it. This stuff is not that expensive. It's
No,
not
and
that much
also
work.
the pain in the assery of a 4x8, putting that up in your garage. You've got to frame it
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
You've got to,
yeah.
by the time you've bought all the materials to actually install it and wasted your time trying to do all those things, you've barely spent any more money for our system and it just goes right into the wall. Like,
Well,
it's not-
hell, I
there's
thought
no
you were gonna
framework
sell
required.
Alan. Now you're selling me. Now I'm in trouble. I got to get some stuff up there. So, because I'm so organized.
Yeah.
We established.
I hate
that, yeah.
pegboards, by the way.
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
like I said, that's our favorite person.
I think the DIY guy obviously is.
We hated
is
pegboards so bad we made a different thing. That's
love
how
that.
bad we hate it. You can't hate it more than we do.
I want to go back to the family meal though. So, have you guys ever all watched Godfather together?
Not together, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
As a family,
they should. As an Italian,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. Because there's a reason that my family business has gone to shit.
Yeah.
And I started my own.
Yeah. It's not easy. I mean, obviously it's a hard thing and it helps having multiple buildings so you can separate each other out based on personality and job role and all that stuff. So and then just like I'm not the same guy at work as I am at family stuff. Like I'm when I get like into something, I'm very focused on it and I'm not good with being interrupted. I forget what the diagnosis would be if you were to diagnose that, but it's like I get really focused and it's like people know, oh, that's just Richard at work, like in the middle of something versus like I'm a totally different person when I'm at some sort of family thing.
Amazing stuff. We have covered a lot of ground, my friend.
This
Haven't
was
we?
really fun.
And this is a great episode because that's that's what happens when you have not just a name, you have a brand.
And entity.
Mr.
If I ever need a hype guy, you're my guy.
Yeah.
I'm your hype beast,
yeah,
baby.
I'm gonna.
Well, of course,
yeah.
Chris is a hype guy.
I can do that, man.
I can hype. I mean, I could hype big.
But here's the cool thing, right? Two engineers who have actually figured out that we can actually do engineering and figure out that we have to market ourselves a little bit.
Right.
So we were the oddballs probably in the
Yes.
school. I know I was.
Yeah.
It
For
gives
sure,
you a
for
unique
sure.
angle.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I love the way you looked at the business.
Yeah.
And then you re-engineered it
Yeah.
backwards on
Yeah.
the marketing
But-
side. It was really cool.
But when we walked the machine shop floor, I mean, he knew the stuff.
Again, really?
Yeah. And then we
mean-
went to Fuller Moto.
Yeah, really? Again?
Undertaker. Brian's got to listen to this just so I can go Thundertaker.
Yeah.
Because he wants me to do his voiceover. I know
Yeah,
that.
I will 100% tell him that it's been brought up on this podcast. So
Yeah.
he'll enjoy it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome. Guys, this is a great episode for you. I don't care what business you're in. I don't care what you're doing. Every single day, we got to get 1% better, right? We keep talking about it. We keep trying to do it. I can't seem to get my weight down 1% every day, but I can definitely get my knowledge up 1% every single day. And this episode brought it up. Make it happen every day. Go out there, make it go. Let's go up that mountain and let's make it all go down. Bye.
Cheers, everybody.